king is not permitted sympathy. They have riches, power, influence, while most of their kingdom has nothing. The peasant class, and even the knight class, have a roof over their head and food in their bellies, and that is about it. They deserve sympathy, not a king reveling in his castle. But I've learned there is something crucial that they do have, that a king doesn't. Friends. Actual friends who care about you as a person, and not just what you can do for them. Friends who will listen to your problems and help you solve them at no cost to themselves. I never chose to be royalty. Since I was young, I loved reading poetry and stories, because the world spoken of in them seemed beautiful and full of love. But this was not my world. My world was one of politics, one of solitude, one of decision-making where every decision I made directly impacted hundreds of thousands of people. And ultimately, this world was one where I never had a choice whether I wanted to live in it or not. So when I read in one of my books that the witch of the swamp would curse any member of royalty who entered by turning them into a frog, apparently she hasn't taken kindly to my father's forcible acquisition of an increasing amount of her nature. But I didn't see this as something to be feared. I saw it as a path to salvation. If I could just not be me anymore, then I could get the freedom to live a simpler life. A better life. It was a lot easier than one might think. I simply told the king that I would be going on a hunting expedition in the forest near the swamp. And nobody is better at riding a horse in the wilderness than I, so I outsped my entourage to the edge of the forest and sped into the swamp. The curse was instantaneous, painless. I went from being me one second to being free the next. For the first time in my life I was happy, and I found friends in the other wildlife, a family. I had no regrets. But now I have been forcibly returned to my humanity. I was kissed by some human girl, and as soon as I returned to my humanity I could clearly see the greed in her eyes. She clearly knew who I was, and the reward she would get for returning me to my humanity. My fiancé is ecstatic. My father is pleased. The kingdom cheers. I have never been more miserable. I now know from experience what it is I was missing. And with the increased scrutiny I will be receiving from on, I don't know if I will ever see it again. I miss my swamp.